What's going on, everyone? Keith Niebuhr with Gators Online, joined by my coworker, Corey Bender. We cover recruiting for the Florida Gators for Gators Online. And today we're going to talk about what's the relevant topic right now, the big news, and that's the performance of DJ Lagway this past Saturday night at the Swamp and how it pertains to recruiting. So Corey and I, after that performance in which Lagway started his first game as a Gator, he's a true freshman. He went 18 of 25 for 456 yards and 3 touchdowns as Florida beat Samford 45-7. So we've talked to various recruits, what they thought of the performance and how, kind of the impact of it. So let's get started. Corey, the big one that you spoke to was Vernell Brown III. He's a top 40 national recruit as a receiver in the class, the 2025 recruiting class for the Gators. He is probably solid to Florida regardless of what happens. He's got that Gator blood running through his veins. His dad played there. His granddad played there. He's had great uncles play there. But what did he have to tell you about this performance by DJ Lagway, and what did it mean to him?
No, absolutely, Keith. Yeah, I think when talking to him, he was one of the kids that thought he wasn't too surprised by it. He knew obviously expectations are very high for him entering his time at Florida. But no, he liked that overall. He mentioned that, hey, I have a pretty deep route tree. I can run all these routes, but he loved how DJ could stretch the field. And I know a lot of people compare him to Eugene Wilson, when he came out of high school, very similar skill sets. And he said that just makes him even more excited. He thinks obviously the playbook opens up a little bit more when you can throw the ball deep like that. And, seeing just the way, not even on the jet pass, the jet sweep, it counts as a reception, obviously, for Eugene Wilson and a pass for Lagway. It's just a quick little shuffle pass. And that's something that I could see them doing for Vernell Brown. That's something he mentioned to me, just a variety of ways that Lagway delivered the ball to the targets. And one thing he did mention, too, there were 6 pass catchers on Florida that recorded pass catches of at least 30 yards. And I thought that was pretty eye-opening. And I think for a lot of these wide receivers, they want to make the big play. And there's a lot of speed in this class. And I think that's the one thing he's very excited about. He mentioned that he can make all the throws, whether it's underneath or deep. And I think overall, he was very pleased with that. And I agree with what you said, Keith, about his commitment. I think he's very strong, and that was a takeaway I got from talking to him too.
All right, so Florida's got 3 receivers committed in the 2025 class. Vernell Brown III is the highest ranked. You also have Joshua Moore, a 4-star. We should mention Vernell Brown III plays for Orlando Jones. He's coached by Elijah Williams, the former Gators running back turned cornerback who played in the NFL. Joshua Moore is another player committed, 4-star from West Broward High School down in Pembroke Pines, Florida. He's a taller receiver. Vernell Brown's 5'10.5". Joshua Moore's 6'4". And then you have the 6'1", 6'2", Naan Montgomery at Miami Central. He's also a 4-star. So 3 guys committed. They're all 4-stars. And then you have a tight end. We talked to him as well, TeSean Gelsy, and he's a 4-star. So these are all high-level recruits. And to a man, they're excited about the prospects of playing with DJ Lagway. So you mentioned what Vernell can bring to the table, Corey. Do you think he's a guy that could perhaps play in year one? Now, obviously, Florida's going to lose Shamir DK after this season, who's kind of in that same mold. But you've got Tank Hawkins, who scored his first career touchdown on a reception from DJ Lagway the other night, and that was actually Lagway's first touchdown pass. Obviously, he's only a true freshman too. So what do you think the chances of Vernell Brown are to play early in 2025?
I think he's just too good to keep off the field. I don't think he'll be a starter. I mean, maybe I'm wrong on that, but I know with Eugene Wilson, they're very similar as far as the height, right? And I know with Billy Gonzalez, he likes some bigger wide receivers to kind of blend with that. And I think overall, you kind of see Aiden Mizell. He's another one with a little bit of height, too, to have his first career touchdown. I think that's promising. So I think it might be tough to crack the starting lineup, but I think Vernell's the type of player, whether it be on special teams or just in that wide receiver rotation. I think he definitely plays a good amount. I think, if Eugene Wilson comes out of the game, he's a guy who can kind of replace him and kind of have a similar impact as far as what he can do with the ball in his hands. So I don't think he'll be a starter, maybe as the season goes on, but I think he's too good to keep off the field in year one.
He's also got some kick return abilities, probably more of a punt returner. So, all right, Vernell Brown III, we feel like he's locked in, but he is definitely amped up and ready to play with DJ Lagway. He's talked about getting to know him, too. He's been to multiple practices, OTAs, which are organized team activities, again, spring practice. He's seen it all, and now he's seen DJ Lagway play up close. And, again, none of these guys, the common thread that you're going to hear is that these guys weren't really surprised by this. They Now, they kind of predicted it. And what's funny is that in preseason scrimmages, DJ Lagway had been known for kind of turning the ball over a little bit. So, but they saw enough. These are the guys that are in there they're in the battlefield. Let's say they had an appreciation and understanding. They've seen him make on platform, off platform throws, throwing on just being patient in the pocket, being calm in the pocket. So the next person we're going to talk about is Naan Montgomery, Corey. And again, 4-star receiver at Miami Central. We need to point out I think he may only be a 3-star from 24/7, but in the On3 industry rankings, he's a 4-star, and he is putting up some big numbers. You want to talk about DJ Lagway's numbers? Well, Naan Montgomery's played 3 games. He's had over 100, over 125 yards receiving in each game for Miami Central. He's kind of not super tall, but tall enough, 6'1.5", and that range, like I said, between 6'1" and 6'2", but he's got long arms. He can go up and get the ball. He can high point the ball. He's got to put some muscle on. There's no doubt about it. He's a skinny kid, but he is a gamer, and he's got some dog in him. Corey, you spoke to him Sunday night about DJ Lagway, and, obviously there's a common theme, like we said. They're all sort of saying the same thing, but what did he say that was unique about DJ Lagway?
Yeah, I thought the one thing he kind of mentioned with DJ Lagway, and like you said to start off the bat, he's probably the one who said he wasn't surprised at all with that. But I think overall, as far as how it bodes to his skill set, I mean, you watch Naan Montgomery's, how he plays. He's a guy that takes the top off of defense, known for really extending the field, and that was the one thing I wanted to ask them. Ask him about that because, DJ Lagway was really airing it out. And he said, that excites me even more. He goes, obviously, some other schools are still hitting me up and all that type of stuff. But it makes me even more excited to kind of play in Gainesville and play with DJ Lagway. I think the way DJ throws the ball downfield, that fits exactly what Montgomery likes to do as well. And I think overall, when you look at his skill set, he's another one of those guys, kind of like an Aiden Mizell, not as far as the speed factor, but a guy who can go up and get the ball high pointed, and a guy who's not afraid to kind of get in that second level and really extend the field. And that's the one thing he was really excited about. I think overall, when you watch both of their films, it can be a really nice connection over the coming years. And as expected, he was stoked about that. He actually said at halftime, Miami Central's game, he actually managed to get his phone out. I don't know if that's a great thing if you're his coach, but as far as watch the highlights, and he was tuned in. Him and Vernell both had games on Saturday, but once the pads were off, they were both stoked about it.
And if you're a receiver, like you said, that can go deep like Naan Montgomery, it's hard enough to cover him for a couple seconds. Now you add another second or two because DJ Lagway's got this mobility, and also he's calm in the pocket. Nobody's ever been more calm in the pocket for the Florida Gators than 1996 Heisman Trophy winner Danny Werfel. And what made him so much better than the guys before him and the guys, most of the guys after him as a passer, was that he would sit in the pocket that extra half a second, quarter of a second, 2/3, 3/4 of a second, full second. He would take the hit, knowing that extra time allowed Jack Jackson, Ike Hilliard, Chris Storing, Riddell Anthony, Willie Jackson, allowed them to get open just that little bit of extra time. So that's what DJ Lagway's doing. Now, this was again against Sanford, a football championship subdivision program that, quite frankly, had lost to another FCS program, West Georgia, in week 1. So not a great team, obviously, not a great team. But he can extend the plays, whether it's rolling in the pocket, which is how people assume you're going to extend the play, escapability, or sitting in the pocket. DJ Lagway, Corey, is so big. And this is one thing all these receivers told us during the summer, every single one, first impressions of DJ Lagway, and almost all of them said, they all talked about it, and almost all of them said this first, was surprised how big he was. Mm-hmm. All of them. So he can sit in the pocket. He can take a hit. He barely feels it. I mean, the guy's huge. He reminds me of Dante Culpepper at the same age, same size, same broad shoulders. The biggest 6'2.5" guy you've ever seen in the world. He looks like he's 6'5" because the shoulders are so broad. So he sits in the pocket. He allows guys like Naan Montgomery to get open. You got to stick with them that half a second longer. You got to stick with Eugene Wilson, with Vernell Brown, with Josh Moore, just that split second longer. And it's hard to do. And if you don't believe me, go back to game 1. And what did Cam Ward do for Miami? That extra second, the Florida DBs. And we talked about this before the game, and it absolutely happened during the game. They couldn't get to him. That extra time allowed the Miami receivers to get open. That's another thing DJ Lagway brings to the fold. Now,
I thought
Corey,
Mizell. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I thought, like you said, we're playing against Sanford, not the best opponent, but I thought there were some passes, regardless of who the opponent was. Like the Aiden Mizell touchdown, the way he rolled out, he wasn't fully set. That was a great throw. It landed perfectly in the breadbasket. Like I said, you couldn't have located that ball better when I saw that. And like you said, Keith, as far as how big he is, he took some hard shots too in that game. And that toughness, I think that rubs off on some of those upperclassmen saying, man, this freshman came in here, took some hard shots. A lot of quarterbacks probably wouldn't have gotten up from, or they've been on the sideline for the remainder of the game. And he got up and he continued. And I thought there was little bits and pieces of him, just that mental toughness that really impressed me too.
Yeah, he's tough, man. All right, so the next guy we talked to, and you know him well, and I actually interviewed him, is TeSean Gelsy. He's Florida's tight end commit. This guy is 6'4", 210 pounds. He's going to be 6'4", 230 probably by next year. He's already got 6 touchdown receptions this season. He's had one big game after the other, including a 5 TD performance the other night. Now, Corey, TeSean Gelsy, here's what he said about DJ Lagway. I feel the chance to play with DJ Lagway at Florida. I feel like it's a dream, Gelsy told Gators Online. It's what every receiver really wants, a QB that can get you the ball whenever you get open. That will be great. He said the long TD was crazy, the one to Aiden Mizell. He kept his composure. He didn't panic and made a great throw, and a deep throw at that. I wasn't surprised he had a good game, but I would say the numbers he put up are just crazy. With him being a freshman and having a game like that, he's going to have a great career at Florida. I feel like he'll have a big impact at Florida and can actually change the culture. Now, one thing that Gelsy told us was that, hey, I'd seen all this in practice like the other guys we mentioned. You know, I've been there a lot of times, Gelsy said. I saw things from him like keeping his eyes downfield, not panicking under pressure, and finding the open guys. So people who want to know the significance of practice, they saw this. These guys that went to practice saw a lot of the things that we all saw last Saturday night on the practice field at the University of Florida. And so TeSean Gelsy's excited about the future of playing with him too. Now, the last guy we've not talked to him yet, but Joshua Moore is Florida's maybe the guy with the biggest NFL talent of the four guys we're going to talk about, the 3 receiver commits and then tight end commit TeSean Gelsy. Josh Moore, 6'4", 210 pounds. He's already got 20 catches on the year. He's already got over 300 yards receiving. He's had several big games. He was at Florida's season opener, and after that season opener, told the media, hey, look, I'm probably still going to visit other schools, but I'm locked in with Florida. Well, after the game, he was quick to run to Instagram and post DJ Lagway's statistics on his Instagram stories. Now, Corey, look, he loves DJ Lagway, Josh Moore, but Miami is chipping away here, trying to chip away. He visited Miami last week after being at Florida 2 days earlier. They're going to have to hold on here. But the prospects of playing with DJ Lagway, I mean, again, he rushed to put that. I mean, that was on his Instagram stories pretty quickly after the game, the graphic that had all of DJ Lagway's stats. This is what Florida is selling. Now, obviously, this staff has to win games or they're not going to be here. And so we don't know how that would, if something were to happen, we don't know how that would impact DJ Lagway and in turn impact all these recruits. Again, I think Vernell Brown would probably stick no matter what. But if you had a new coaching staff, and we'll cross that bridge if it gets there. Right now, these are the coaches of the University of Florida, Billy Napier and company. These are the coaches. But if you get to that bridge, a new staff obviously has to determine who they want to. And you saw that with Billy Napier's staff when they arrived in Gainesville. There were guys they didn't really pursue. That kind of ruffled some feathers, if we're being totally honest here. But right now, they're the coaches. And DJ Lagway is coming off this big game. We don't know what the future holds. It's to be seen, Corey, whether he's going to start this week against Texas A&M at home. But the future looks bright, Corey. Just your general thoughts on how this can impact recruiting.
No, I think it definitely can, man. I just think it's not often when you sign a big-time quarterback. I mean, getting number one keys of 5, not only was he a 5-star, he was the number 1 quarterback in recruiting. And like you said, coming out, I mean, having that, just knowing he has 3 years after this season, you already have a strong wide receivers class. I think it just makes you even more excited, regardless, too, if which coach is there. Like you said, Billy Napier, it's their staff now. But looking at DJ Lagway in this post-game press conference, if I'm a Florida fan, I feel fairly good about the future, like where his mind is with Florida. He mentioned the fan base. Obviously, Billy Napier being there was a huge factor. That's why one of the main reasons why I went to Florida. But he mentioned how the Florida fan base treat him and his family and how they've always been there for him. And he had look to me. I took away from that hey, I'm going to be sticking with Florida no matter what. He never actually said those exact words, but that's the vibe I got. And if I'm a recruit, especially at receiver, that makes you feel pretty good knowing it's not only we're going to have a great quarterback, hopefully for the future, this kid's the real deal. The kid was on the Sports Illustrated cover. I mean, It's not just any other quarterback. And yeah, it's Samford, but to step into that environment in the swamp and to have a performance like that as a true freshman, you would expect some mistakes along the way. And obviously, it's not like he can complete 25 out of 25 passes, but the kid, to me, he looked well above what a freshman would have put on the field, in my opinion.
Now, Corey, you mentioned
impact kids in a great way.
You mentioned he had 3 seasons remaining. He ain't playing.
Hopefully.
I hate to burst your bubble here, Corey. But now look, he's got a long way to go, but so far the impact is profound. Now, some people might say, well, wait a second. All right, you're raving about these receivers, and by the way, we need to point out that was a big selling point to get each of these 4 kids to Florida, the fact that you had DJ Lagway. So, but that was a leap of faith. It's no longer a leap of faith. They've seen what he can do on Saturdays. But what, so if you're a fan, you're saying, okay, you got these receivers and you got some quality running backs. I mean, where are the offensive line? Well, the problem with that is that it's hard for a quarterback who's a true freshman who may only have 2 more seasons after this to recruit offensive linemen. I'm going to tell you why. They ain't going to play with them. Most of them, even the elite offensive linemen, only a handful, only a select few play a lot in year 1, and not many more play until year 2 or play in year 2. Year 3 is when, obviously if a guy's making progress, year 2, but that would be Lagway's last year. So you may get 1 season with him, but a lot of the guys that you'd be signing in this class probably wouldn't become starters because offensive line is such a developmental unit.
If you have a true freshman along the whole line, it's usually not a good sign. Like you said.
That might make DJ Lagway leave. I mean, you don't want too many of them, obviously. Now, an elite guy, sure. But it's a much harder selling point. Obviously, Florida's offensive line recruiting really hasn't been where it needs to be in recent years. But trust me, Lagway's trying to help. But, I mean, he can't say, hey, you come in and you're going to play with me. I mean, they're going to have a lot of these offensive linemen back. And it's just a little bit harder to sell on the offensive line. But these receivers know the true freshman receivers can and will play. And they will have a chance to play with him for 2 years. So, Corey, your final thoughts?
I just want to add something, a good point you brought up, Keith, about that extra second with DJ Lagway's ability, as far as like with Cam Ward too, having that extra second to kind of make plays downfield. And that's something Naan Montgomery, he also mentioned that his ability, his mobility brings that defense up when he can be able to run like that, which kind of makes it for him, a guy who's a pure deep threat. It makes it even more attractive for him and more opportunities to get open. Just want to piggyback off that point you made because, like you said, that extra second that DB looks in the backfield, the extra second, almost who watched football, that's like Jamison Williams for the Lions yesterday, double move. The guy got DB's eyes get in the backfield. Next, the guy's gone. So that's a great point you brought up.
Well, first of all, nobody gives a crap about the Lions. But anyway, so what I was going to say was, no, you're right, Corey. But think of the difference between Tebow and John Brantley. Not a knock on John Brantley, but there were so many people that said, okay, after Tim Tebow left, now we as a program, now we've got a guy who can really throw the ball. But the other team knew that did not have to account for the run with John Brantley, and thus were able to drop extra DBs in coverage, which could smother a passing game more effectively. Okay. Tebow, you had to account for the running as well. So you're talking about Lagway's not going to be a Tebow type runner, but he has ability to run. And like you said, extend play. So you put those two together, and then, as a safety, as an opposing team, you're going to have somebody account for him. Perhaps a safety, you might get more man coverage downfield. Boy, man, having one guy cover receiver is a big difference between having 2 guys cover receivers. So the benefits seem to be there. The recruits are excited, Corey. And now I get to do what everybody wants to do. Promo. If you get in between these 2 beautiful faces, we've got a great deal right now at Gators Online. Flash sale on Monday. We don't know how long it's going to last. Sometimes they extend these things, but right now, 50% off an annual subscription, annual membership to gatorsonline.com. And, Corey, move your head to this. Let's see if we can get it where they can. Hell yeah. Right. So here's the great thing about this deal. Right now, you got DJ Lagway. He could start again this week. We're going to find out. But, Florida, again, all eyes of the nation are on this program, even though they're not even ranked. You've got so much stuff going on. Lagway, Mertz. What's the future of Billy Napier? There's no better place to be. We lead the market in intel. We lead the market in news breaking and total coverage, and we have a thriving message board community. So go to gatorsonline.com. Did I see that little promo code down there? Go Gators. Get 50% off. Corey, it's been real. Take care. We're going to do this again probably Tuesday. We're going to have a video for Gators Online Plus, which is our membership-only YouTube subscription. A little bit different than this, but we're going to go into more detail. So check that out too on the YouTube Gators Online page. So again, for Corey Bender, I am Keith Niebuhr. This is Gators Online. Take care, everybody.